Game, that dude.
Now GameCube, nigga, and I'm straight up out the Clinton. Detroit City.
The MC Nerd Show. Welcome back to the MC Nerd Show with your host, GameCube that dude. What up, though? It's your boy GameCube that dude, and we are back for another episode with the Detroit legend here. We got Valid, aka Bill Lambier, aka Big Valid.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
What up, though, baby? What up, though, game?
Not much, man. It's good to have you here with us today.
Man, appreciate you.
Man. So, man, let's get straight into it, man.
Yes, sir.
Took some notes here. We're gonna take it back a couple generations ago.
All right. Yeah, now I feel good. My man's quoting my lyrics. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So so you're from Detroit, Southwest Detroit, right?
My family's from Southwest Detroit. Both of my parents are from overseas. My dad's side of the family, the majority of them, damn near all of them, they were all in the Southwest. My mom, her family was mostly on the east side, mostly actually in Highland Park. And they met in the 70s. I was born in the late 80s. When I was born, we were still living in Southwest Detroit. And then we moved to pretty much like the border of Detroit and Dearborn Heights. And, my parents and we resided right outside Detroit on the other side of Telegraph Road. And, where that area is, a lot of people call it Warrendale, where Warren Road is like the connection of Dearborn Heights, Detroit, all of that. And so that's my neck of the woods. And, and then, so coming up, had a lot of family in Southwest. My church and like cultural center was on the east side of Detroit. Mm-hmm. And so Inkster, Redford, Detroit, Southwest, all that is my neck of the woods.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of that, especially like when you get to Detroit, like Dearborn Heights, a lot of that kind of blends in. Like I remember part of like Dearborn, you'll be in Dearborn, then you can kind of head a little bit more west, and it's Detroit again, and then it's Dearborn again.
Yeah, and in that neighborhood, Warrendale, like going up and down Warren Road, like there's people who like live in Detroit who have like Dearborn Heights mailing addresses, and vice versa. Like there's people who live in Dearborn Heights, but like their mailing address and their zip code is still like Detroit. So it's like, man, shout out to all my people from that neck of the woods.
Definitely. So you kind of, I don't think I watched, a couple of the interviews that you've done. Shout out to Kid L. I watched that, a few interviews you had with him.
Yeah, shout out to Kid L.
But, I think you guys kind of talked about, like, what kind of music was being played in the house. As you
in the house, it was, at that time when I was young, the country Yugoslavia still existed. Mm-hmm. So I guess I could say growing up, Yugoslavian music was in the house. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Whether it was like folk music or like modern like music of the time. That was what my mom was listening to. Balkan, Eastern European music from all over Yugoslavia at the time. And so that's what it was. With my parents, that's what it was. But, I didn't hear much American music in the house growing up. Mm-hmm. But, like, my older cousins, my uncles who were Americanized, I remember going and hearing, like, one of my relatives' crib in Southwest, and like MC Breed is like banging out the whip. You know what I'm saying? So These are memories I have as a kid. So like definitely hip hop. I remember my cousin had to hide the Snoop Dogg Doggy Style tape in the mid '90s and make sure that his elders did not know that he had it. Yeah. So hip hop was always around. Yeah. And I was definitely surrounded by American culture, American music, and everything. But in the house, when it came to my parents, it was old school.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I grew up down south, like at that young age. So I didn't hear like hip hop. True. First time I heard it, I think my uncle, he went to college in Florida, so he came back and brought back some of that Miami bass. So I heard like little, you know what I mean? I heard it in the other room a little bit, but I didn't really get a taste of it. But that first was when I first moved up here. And you could start hearing it on the radio.
Man, that's so dope.
People don't remember that.
Yeah, they don't remember that. And think about that, what those times were like. Like, he had to go to Miami to bring that sound back to where you were. Now, because of social media, we all see and hear the same thing. Yep. So whether you're in Toronto, Miami, Detroit, Chicago, LA, I'm not saying that there's not a Detroit sound, there's not a Chicago sound, but it's just different now. With it was like a DJ would go to another city. Spend time out there, absorb the flavors, the musical flavors of that city, and then bring it back. Like, yo, this is what they doing in Miami right now. This is what they doing in Chicago right now. Because there was no social media for us to experience what's going on in Chicago right now, what's going on in New York right now, unless an artist like blew up and was on a major label. But what they were playing in the clubs and shit, I don't know. There's something like really renegade and cool about that.
Oh, for sure.
And like free about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we do here.
Yeah, that regional sound.
That regional sound. And that's really fucking dope.
You know, some artists are trying to bring that back. Like Kendrick with this last album definitely tried to, you know, have a West Coast flavor. You could tell that it was an intentional thing. Yes, you know, some artists are trying to bring that back.
Right.
For sure. And obviously in Detroit, like we've always had that sound. I'm not gonna go in. I know you've had plenty of conversations of, you know, Detroit hip hop sound versus like the Detroit. I like you don't like to call it Detroit street rap or whatever because I think it all is one thing.
It's all one tree, right?
Different
branches of the same tree, baby.
Exactly. So in one of your interviews, I saw that you started rapping in high school with a friend.
Middle school, junior high. Like 7th grade or some shit like that. I started writing raps a little bit before that, but I remember like my 7th grade talent show was like the first time I ever rapped in front of a crowd. Super nervous, shaking, thought I was about to faint.
Did you do original song or did you do a song that was already out? You remember?
I don't remember, but I remember it was like a Biggie song or something like that, but I had to do like the clean version. But in 8th grade, I remember that was the first time rapping like my own original joint. Super nervous.
For sure. So out of high school, you know, obviously you kept stuck with it, and then you ended up at eventually kind of find your way to the 5E Gallery.
Yes.
I was curious because I think we're around the same age. I'll be 35 this year. I actually, you know, was trying to rap at the same time, around that time. But I was up going to school. I was up at Mount Pleasant at Central Michigan. So that had, you know, its own crowd, own culture. And I didn't really know outside of what was being presented. Like, I think at the time, I think it wasn't a whole lot of, I think Clear Soul Forces was like the only group that I remember at the time that really kind of like had a viral scene, you know what I mean? Was making
Sure. I say I know what era you're talking. You're talking like that
2010,
2012. Yeah. There was Clear Soul Forces. And I just remember Danny Brown being really hot at that time.
Yep, Danny Brown started blowing up as well.
Yeah, because I think that's around the time he signed with Fool's Gold. And what was the name of that album? The all-white cover with the girl, the face with the pill on the tongue or something. Triple X or something like that. I think was the name of that album. Maybe I'm tripping, and I apologize. But I remember that album being everywhere, Danny being everywhere, had a song All Grown Up, was blowing up, and
I'm curious, like what, because you were here in the city, so you were able to see a little bit more of what eventually came and rose, you know, prominent underground or that typical kind of backpack hip hop. What was it like at the 5E Gallery? Were you seeing some of those artists like Soul Forces?
I met Danny Brown the first time I ever went. Not the first time I ever went. The second or third time I ever went to 5E Gallery, and I saw everybody there. it was they had a big benefit show, like 50 artists within like one day. So it was like an all-day event. I remember like T3 Rock from Slum Village, everybody you can think of. 5Ella, I believe, Rock, Miss Corona, Danny Brown. Like everybody had just like the small, short set because they were trying to raise money to save the gallery. And it was dope as fuck. And but yeah, I remember seeing T3 at the 5E Gallery. I met DJ Head at the 5E Gallery. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And thinking about those people that used to be there, the one that comes to mind is my dog, Sheefy McFly. Mm-hmm. Me and him, we were there at the open mics, and we're around the same age. Maybe he's a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's my dog, and we came in the game around the same time, and it's not like me and Sheefy are like super tight or nothing, but he's always been good to me. And one of my music videos from like 2015 was his apartment. He let me use it, and we threw like a fake party, but it actually ended up becoming a real party to film this shit at his apartment. I don't even know if he remembers that.
Shout out to Sheefy.
Shout out to Sheefy McFly. Now, just recently, DJ had like the one time he had us like at the same spot together was at the Tigers game earlier this year when me and Stretch Money performed, and had made it a point to tell the both of us like, "Yo, I saw y'all coming on the scene at the same time, and I'm so proud of both of you." Like that meant a lot to me because I don't know, it's DJ Head, that's my guy, and a lot of the cats, you know, they fall in love with music, and it's for a limited time, and then you know, life happens. Life happens, and you just don't really have time to pursue your passions no more. But I see Sheefy going around the world.
Yeah, I mean, he was this past. Actually, it might have been a couple summers ago. He did the whole. Down there at Campus Marsh, they let him design that whole skate area.
And it's just like, it's dope to see where he's at because we started at the same time. We was hitting the same open mics, writing our names on the same list.
Yeah.
And Sheefy McFly used to have an event called The Air Up There that was so dope. And he had me perform at one. And let this be known, this is a true fact. Myself, Sheefy McFly, Dej Loaf, Fat Cat, and Coleman Young, Mike Phelps' old group and his crew, we all rocked the same night at the Air Up There for his event, the Air Up There at Boss Classic Kicks. So just think about that lineup. Dej Loaf, Fat Cat, Valid, Coleman Young, and Sheefy McFly in one night. And Sheefy, you a legend, bro.
Definitely, man. And that's special. That lineup right there, special. So you mentioned the Tigers commercial. You know, I did want to ask you, congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
That was amazing to see. I was proud of you guys. How did that come together? Was that Pilo's doing? Did he reach out to you guys?
No. So long story short, your boy Valid and Stretch Money really put on when we did Bill&Isiah, and it caught the eyes of the city. And there was a cat that's been super good to us. Shout out to Mario, who works at Illich and on the creative team. And he's a Valid fan, and he used to work for the Portland Trailblazers for many years as the head of their creative, and he got a job with Illich, and he's out here now. And so he's like that, kind of like the head of the creative department for both the Red Wings and the Tigers and all that. And he fucks with me heavy. He fucks with Stretch Money heavy. And when they started putting that together, he reached out. And he was like, yo, Valid, Stretch, G-Mac Cash, PL's doing this shit because he's like the poster boy of like sports,
he does.
hip-hop and rap in
My
Detroit.
bad, I call him P-Lo.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, let's run it. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much what it was. And shout out to the Tigers organization. Shout out to the Illich Corporation for having me and Stretch Money rock. that was dope.
Definitely. So did you know that Eminem was going to be a part of it, like going into it?
No.
Or was that kind of a surprise to you as well?
I did not know.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, that was fire to see, man.
Shout out to the Shady Records fam. Shout out to Paul, everybody over there, because they had to approve all of that.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
When I got, and I met Paul once, and we had a conversation. So when I got the inside scoop of how everything went down after the fact, not everything, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I poked around. I asked a couple questions, like, man, how did that happen? And they had to approve that shit. So thanks, Marshall, for your approval.
Definitely 100, man. So also, I know you're a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
When I'm assuming, because like I said, I think we're around the same age. It was the Attitude Era that kind of brought you into wrestling.
Oh, well before that, brother.
Okay.
Man. I was watching wrestling as a kid. I remember seeing Hulk Hogan getting squashed by Earthquake on Saturday Night Main Event. I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
The match. I was always a wrestling fan growing up, but the match that took me from a wrestling fan as a kid to like a wrestling fanatic, like a complete wrestling nerd and know everything about it, and like I totally like it took over my life. I was in 3rd grade, 1996, March of 96, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, WrestleMania 12, 60-minute Iron Man match. That since that day I've been, you know what I'm saying, a wrestling nerd. It was that match. Those are like probably my 2 favorite wrestlers ever because of that, Bret and Shawn. And yeah.
You can't go
wrong with that. I remember I kind of ended up not following it as I got older, but around that time, late 90s, my brother and I were definitely deep in it. My parents took us to Monday Night Raw when The Rock and Stone Cold were, still having their battles, and The Rock threw Stone Cold
over the bridge. You already knew. That legendary moment.
River.
Yeah, right in the Detroit River.
So dope. Detroit's a legendary spot for pro wrestling, man. There's a lot of moments in WWE and WCW and just in wrestling in general. Like I could start naming. I can go off and start naming a few. Stone Cold coming down with the Zamboni at Joe Louis when the Red Wings were like the hottest hockey team in the world. Like crowd going berserk. That's a moment that lives forever.
The Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan was a pioneer.
Aretha Franklin, WrestleMania 3, all of that. Macho Man and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. It's all the same night. WrestleMania 3 is one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. So there's that. There's Shane McMahon coming back that one night after being gone for like 8 years.
Yes.
And that was one of the biggest crowd reactions ever in the history of wrestling. Joe Louis Arena. So many moments, man. So many moments. Yeah, Austin and Rock throwing each other off the bridge, throwing the Intercontinental title in the Detroit River. It's I'm not even scratching. There's other moments too that are just like forever embedded in wrestling history that happened in Detroit. Lex Luger winning the world title at Palace of Auburn Hills on Monday Nitro, crowd going berserk. It was like the Pistons won the championship or some shit.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Because you're not the only rapper that is big into wrestling. Like obviously, because a lot of the Griselda camp, is big into wrestling. I think
Griselda, Action Bronson,
Action Bronson,
Wale.
Like a lot. I think Smoke DZA and what's my man? Pardon me for not remembering the name. Who runs Griselda?
Westside Gun.
Westside Gun.
He got his own promotion.
Yeah, they
now.
Fourth Rope. They just started
Fourth Rope.
that.
He's in the front row of every wrestling event ever.
Yep, they just started doing events.
Man,
they had one in Chicago like a few months ago where they had, it was like a hip hop show / wrestling event. He had like a couple people performing, and then there was also wrestling matches and stuff. So what do you think it is? Like, what is that connection between hip hop and wrestling? Why do they seem to connect so much?
Thank you all for watching. For the full sit down with Valid, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, the MC Nerd Jock Show. What up, though? It's your boy GameCube, that dude, the host of the MC Nerd Jock Show. And I just want to let y'all know that we got something big coming up February 8th, Valentine's Day. Yes, sir. The homie Big Valid in the building at Old Miami in Detroit. We got Bruiser Wolf, Mary McLovin, Mr. Cliff Note. It's hosted by Ellie with DJ Head, DJ Mac. Got Crown Royal as the sponsors, Modella, Hennessy. This is at Old Miami, 9 p.m., $10, man. And go ahead and have yourself a good time, man. 8 years this man been doing this. Big homie Valid, Valentine's Day. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Support your boy and come see some real hip hop. You know, Bruiser Wolf been on a run. Mr. Cliff Note is the one. And Mary McLovin, she gonna sing your heart out, man. And of course, Big Valley gonna shut it down to close out the show. So make sure you in the building. Old Miami, February 8th, 8th annual Valentine's Day. Deuce.
This episode of the MC Nerd Jock Show is brought to you by Friendly Neighborhood DJ, servicing all of Southeast Michigan. Now, we know you can have anybody DJ your wedding, your birthday party, your school dance, family reunion, whatever the special event is. But let me tell you, it's more fun when you have somebody from the neighborhood.